Pokemon Black and White remakes have been heavily teased by Scarlet and Violet, so with the presents soon, how exactly will the 2024 Pokemon games look like? Well, from all of Scarlet and Violet's hints, to Black and White's many unresolved mysteries, to maybe even the return of some fan-favorite features, I'm thinking Black and White remakes could turn out pretty cool. So why exactly Black and White? Well, Gen 10 is probably not coming soon just because Scarlet and Violet just happened with Gen 9, so we'll probably have to wait a little longer for that. In the meantime, I bet Game Freak could give us some sort of remake. So far, it seems like Johto and Unova have the most chances to get a game, since they're the only games that haven't been brought to the 3D yet. Now, while I personally think that Unova remakes have a higher chance to happen, there is still a possibility of a Johto remake, since technically Johto is next in line, and while the hints of the DLC weren't as big as the Black and White references, there were still a couple hidden Easter eggs referencing Johto. The biggest one being that Kitakami is somewhere near Johto and Kanto. So far, we have both Unova and Johto references. On top of that, we have the Paradox legends which come from each region respectively. So, problem solved. Black and White remakes and Johto remakes. The only issue, this would not fit inside Game Freak's budget, but they could outsource it to ILCA again. This would suck, but it would be incredibly easy for them to just take the BDSP assets and throw them right into Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is basically how the original remakes of Johto were made. Another option is for them to remake Black and White in the chibi style. This could work fairly well to capture nostalgia if Game Freak wants to go that way for 2024. And then that could leave them room for something cool and interesting with Black and White, and hopefully its sequel Black and White 2 combining all their ideas into a brand new experience. And this could work even better if Game Freak decides to bring Scarlet and Violet to the table. Black and White also had a large emphasis on the past and future themes, like areas being entirely different depending on what version of the game you had. I'm willing to bet that Game Freak even used Black and White as inspiration for the new games. Well, to find out what Black and White remakes could look like, let's look at Unova's unresolved mysteries. The first is the original dragon. I'm pretty sure if Game Freak remakes Unova, this has to happen. This isn't discussed a whole lot in Black and White, but we know that long ago, way before the events of Black and White, Reshiram and Zekrom were actually combined into one Pokemon, but then they split into two, leaving behind Kyurem as its empty shell. Now, Pokemon loves fusion, so they would definitely play with this idea again. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, you had Calyrex using the Reins of Unity to fuse with the horses. Then in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you would use the End Solarizer or Lunarizer to fuse those legendaries together. Funnily enough, these were made by Colress from Black and White 2. Maybe Colress will even be able to evolve the DNA splicers from Black and White 2 to refuse all three of these legendaries together again. But in the 3DS games, Colress is actually one of the good people instead of part of Team Plasma. That being said, I'd like to take a look at some hints from Legends Arceus now. If you take a look inside Diamond Clan and Pearl Clan houses, if you take a look at the paintings, it seems like they have ancestors of characters that aren't in Legends Arceus. So if Pokemon decided to take the direction of a Legends game, maybe we could find out more about these unknown ancestors. Next, I want to take a look at this game's gimmick. Out of all generations, Black and White hasn't had too much love. And that was especially true during Mega Evolution, where this was the only Pokemon that could Mega Evolve. I find this a little bit strange since out of 100 cool designs, they went somewhere really unexpected. It could be since they just had the Unova games right before X and Y, but they must have had some better ideas laying around if they could only come up with Mega Autono. The interesting fact about Mega Evolution is that unlike every other gimmick that got thrown away immediately, Mega Evolution remained for a little while. It was there alongside Z-moves in Sun and Moon and even in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee on Switch. And more recently they added it to Pokemon Go. Now I find Mega Evolution could work well for maybe like a Legends Arceus approach to the game, but if they plan on making Black and White kind of set more in the future, like alongside Scarlet and Violet, then terastallizing could work quite well since it was implemented artificially in Unova's Blueberry Academy. Now in Pokemon's DLC, we learn about terrestrial forms which are exclusive to the legendaries, but since Pokemon loves giving us new forms, they could bring these terrestrial states to regular Pokemon as well. It is pretty difficult to say what Pokemon could do for a gimmick, but in the end, they have to promote their TCG and all their other merchandise somehow, so they might do that by expanding on terastallizing. And you know we'll see a new Charizard form. Anyway, that's all for today. I'm really excited to see what path they'll take, whether we get a remake that's a bit more interesting, or maybe something depressing once again. But that's everything. Thank you for watching.